Imagine this. It's 11:57 p.m., and your phone lights up with a notification. You're half asleep, sprawled on your couch, the glow of a Netflix show flickering across your tiny apartment. You swipe open the email, and your heart stops. Subject line: termination of contract. No warning, no phone call, just a cold, clinical message from a company you've poured your soul into. Your hands shake as you read it, the words blurring through a haze of disbelief. You try to log into your work account the next morning, and it's gone. Invalid credentials. You're locked out, erased like you never existed. That's exactly what happened to Alex, a 32-year-old hustler who thought they'd cracked the code to financial freedom. But this isn't just a story about getting fired. It's about what happens when you push someone too far, when you underestimate them, and when they decide to fight back. By the time Alex was done, their shady employer was facing the IRS, scrambling to save their crumbling empire. This is a tale of betrayal, resilience, and the kind of revenge that feels so good, you'll be cheering by the end. If you've ever been disrespected by a boss, felt trapped in a job, or dreamed of serving justice to someone who wronged you, this story is for you. Hit that like button, subscribe, and settle in for a revenge tale that'll leave you speechless. Trust me, you won't want to miss how this one unfolds. Let's go back 6 months. Alex was living in a shoebox apartment in a noisy city, the kind of place where the walls are thin and the rents always due. They were a project manager by day, clocking in at a stable but uninspiring job. The paycheck covered the basics: rent, groceries, the endless student loan payments that haunted their bank account. But Alex had bigger dreams. They wanted to travel, maybe start their own business one day, or at least stop living paycheck to paycheck. So when a side gig popped up, a 1099 contractor role, paying an extra $3,000 a month, Alex didn't hesitate. It was a lifeline, a chance to build something real. The job was with a small marketing firm, the kind that promised big results for flashy clients. Alex could work remotely, set their own hours, and juggle it alongside their day job. They'd crank out reports at 2 a.m., sipping coffee in sweatpants or polished presentations during lunch breaks. It was perfect. They attended every Zoom meeting, hit every deadline, and even got a glowing review from a major client who called their work game-changing. Alex felt unstoppable. For the first time, they could see a future where they weren't drowning in bills. They started saving, even sent a little money to their mom, who was struggling after a bad year. Things were looking up, but there was a catch. The firm's CEO, Greg, wasn't what he seemed. Picture a guy in his late 40s, always in a tailored blazer, with a smile that didn't reach his eyes. Greg had a reputation in the industry, charming in boardrooms, ruthless behind closed doors. His assistant, Karen, was his enforcer, a woman with a sharp voice and a knack for making you feel small. Alex had heard whispers about the firm cutting corners, but they brushed it off. They were just happy to have the gig. That is, until the cracks started showing. It began with an email from Karen. "Please check your inbox every hour," it said. Alex stared at the screen, their brow furrowing. Every hour? They were a contractor, not some entry-level employee chained to a desk. The whole point of a 1099 gig was freedom. No micromanaging, no clock watching. Alex figured it was a misunderstanding. They kept working, delivering flawless projects, thinking it would blow over. But then came another email, this time from Greg himself. "Starting next week, you'll work 9 to 5. No exceptions." Alex's stomach twisted. Set hours? For a contractor? That wasn't how this worked. They fired back a polite response, pointing out their contract guaranteed flexibility. They hit send, expecting an apology, maybe a clarification. Instead, they got more demands. "Report every absence," Karen wrote. Doctor's appointments, sick days, family emergencies. Log them all. Alex's hands clenched into fists as they read it. Their heart pounded, a mix of confusion and anger swirling in their chest. They'd signed up for independence, not a leash. They were killing it, exceeding expectations, earning praise. And now this? It felt like a slap in the face. Alex started noticing other things too. Greg's emails were laced with condescension, like he thought Alex was lucky to even have the job. Karen would interrupt them in meetings, cutting them off mid-sentence. It was subtle at first, but it built up like water dripping on a stone until it cracks. Alex wasn't alone in feeling the pressure. They started talking to Mia, another contractor at the firm. Mia was a single mom, juggling the gig to pay for her kids' medical bills. She told Alex about late-night emails from Karen, demanding updates at all hours. One time, Mia had to miss a meeting because her son was in the ER, and Greg sent her a snarky message about commitment. Alex's jaw tightened as Mia shared her story, her voice shaking over the phone. It wasn't just Alex. The firm was squeezing everyone, treating contractors like cogs in a machine. Alex felt a spark of something new, solidarity. They weren't just fighting for themselves anymore. The demands kept coming. Check your email every hour, even on weekends. Log your hours in a spreadsheet. Join mandatory team building calls that dragged on for hours. Alex's days started blurring together. They'd work their day job, then stay up until 3 a.m. finishing tasks of firm, their eyes burning from the screen's glare. Their apartment, once a cozy retreat, felt like a prison, cluttered with coffee mugs, post-it notes, and unpaid bills piling up on the counter. They barely saw their friends, skipped family dinners, and stopped calling their mom as often. The stress was eating them alive, but they kept going, telling themselves it was worth it for the money. One night, Alex sat at their desk, staring at a photo of their mom on their phone. She'd texted earlier, asking how they were holding up. Alex hadn't replied. They couldn't admit how overwhelmed they felt, how the firm's demands were suffocating them. Their fingers hovered over the keyboard, tempted to quit. But quitting meant losing that $3,000 a month, meant falling behind on rent, meant letting their mom down. They took a deep breath, pushed the thought aside, and kept working. Then came the breaking point. It was a Thursday night, just before midnight. Alex was winding down, scrolling through their phone when the email arrived. Termination of contract. The words hit like a punch to the gut. No explanation, no warning. Just a sterile paragraph saying their services were no longer needed. Alex's hands trembled as they reread it, their pulse racing. They tried logging into their work account the next morning. Nothing. Invalid credentials. Their access was gone, their work erased. They called Karen, their voice shaking with a mix of shock and anger. Her response was ice cold. Check your personal email. Alex, if you even do that. The line went dead. Alex stood in their apartment, phone still in hand, their chest tight. Karen's words echoed in their mind, mocking their dedication, their late nights, their sacrifices. They'd given everything to this job. Missed birthdays, skipped sleep, poured their heart into every project. And this was their reward? A midnight firing. No respect, no humanity? They paced the room, their footsteps heavy on the creaky floorboards. The walls seemed to close in, the air thick with betrayal. They wanted to scream, to throw something, but instead, they sat down, their mind racing. For days, Alex couldn't shake the anger. They barely slept, their dreams haunted by Greg's smug face, Karen's dismissive tone. They'd lie awake, staring at the ceiling, replaying every email, every meeting. The injustice burned. They'd been loyal, professional, exceptional. They balanced 2 jobs, kept their head above water, and still, they were disposable. But Alex wasn't one to stay down. On the 4th day, something shifted. They were done feeling powerless. They opened their laptop, their jaw set, and started digging. The IRS website was a goldmine. Alex scrolled through pages on 1099 contractors versus W-2 employees, their eyes narrowing with every word. Contractors control their own schedules, methods, and work. Employers dictating hours, demanding constant check-ins, controlling every move. That's an employee. Alex's breath caught. The firm wasn't just micromanaging. They were breaking the law, misclassifying workers to avoid taxes, dodge benefits, and skirt labor laws. Alex's heart pounded as they realized the truth. Greg's firm was built on a lie, and they had the power to expose it. They didn't act right away. Alex was careful, methodical. They spent hours gathering evidence. Every email from Greg demanding hourly check-ins, every schedule Karen sent, every condescending note. They saved screenshots, archived messages. even dug up the original contract that promised flexibility. Their apartment became a war room. Papers scattered across the table, their laptop glowing late into the night. They reached out to Mia, who shared her own stack of emails, proof of the same mistreatment. Together, they built a case, their voices hushed but determined over late-night calls. Alex's fingers trembled as they filled out the IRS Form SS-8, detailing every violation. They submitted a complaint to their state's labor department, their heart racing as they typed. This wasn't just about them anymore. It was about Mia, about every contractor the firm had exploited. As they hit submit, Alex leaned back in her chair, a small, defiant smile breaking through. You thought you could erase me. They thought, let's see how you handle this. Weeks passed, but Alex stayed vigilant. They followed up with the Labor Department, their voice steady as they answered questions. The IRS investigation was quieter, a slow-burning fuse. Alex knew it could take months, but they also knew the stakes. Misclassification wasn't a minor offense. It could mean millions in back taxes, penalties, even audits that could cripple the firm. Greg and Karen had built their empire on shaky ground, and Alex had just pulled the pin. Then one morning, Alex's phone buzzed. It was Mia, her voice barely containing her excitement. Alex, you won't believe this. The IRS is at the office. Greg's been in meetings all week, looking like he hasn't slept in days. They're auditing everything. Alex's heart leaped. They sank into their couch, a grin spreading across their face. It was happening. The firm was feeling the heat. Mia kept talking, her words tumbling out. Greg was unraveling, snapping at his team, blaming everyone but himself. Karen was a ghost, her usual sharpness replaced by panic as she scrambled to explain years of shady books. The firm had misclassified dozens of contractors, saving thousands by avoiding payroll taxes, health insurance, and benefits. Now, the IRS was tearing through their records, and the Labor Department was closing in. Word was spreading. Other contractors were coming forward, inspired by Alex's move. There were whispers of lawsuits, massive fines, maybe even the firm shutting down. Alex closed her eyes, picturing Greg in his sleek office, his tailored blazer rumpled, his smug grin gone. They imagined Karen, her condescending tone silenced as she faced the consequences of her words. The thought sent a rush through Alex's veins, a mix of triumph and relief. They didn't want anyone to lose their job, but this wasn't about destruction. It was about accountability. The firm had treated workers like pawns, disposable and replaceable. Now, they were learning a hard lesson. You can't exploit people forever. Alex's revenge wasn't loud or dramatic. It was quiet, surgical, devastating. They didn't need to confront Greg or scream at Karen. The IRS and the Labor Department were doing the work, and every panicked email Greg sent to his lawyers was a victory. Alex felt a warmth in their chest, a weight lifting. They'd been powerless once, betrayed and erased. But now, they'd flipped the script. They'd taken back their power. This story isn't just about Alex getting even. It's about standing up when the world tries to push you down. It's about the moment you realize you're not helpless, that you can fight back even when the odds feel stacked against you. Alex didn't just expose the company's greed. They gave a voice to everyone who'd been mistreated. Maybe it's a reminder, justice might not come fast, but when it does, it hits hard. So what do you think? Was Alex right to report them? Have you ever faced a boss who deserved a taste of their own medicine? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'm dying to hear them. If this story gave you chills or made you pump your fist, smash that like button and tell us. What's the most satisfying revenge you've ever seen? Subscribe for more epic tales of justice. And hit the bell so you never miss a story like this. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.